The jungle has always been a place of mystery, danger, and adventure. It's where the unknown lurks behind every tree, where ancient legends live on, and where those who dare to explore might find more than they ever imagined. And in Jungle Cruise, 2021, this spirit of adventure is brought to life in a way that blends thrilling action, laugh-out-loud humor, and a touch of old-fashioned magic. From the very first frame, it's clear that this isn't just another trip down a river. It's a race against time, an epic quest, and a wild ride filled with twists, betrayals, and surprises. Inspired by the classic Disney theme park attraction of the same name, Jungle Cruise takes audiences deep into the heart of the Amazon, following an unlikely trio on a dangerous journey to uncover an ancient legend. It's a film that feels like a love letter to classic adventure movies, the kind where maps hold secrets, villains have a grand plan, and the jungle itself seems alive with magic. But what makes Jungle Cruise stand out isn't just its thrilling set pieces or breathtaking visuals. It's the infectious chemistry between its lead actors, the mix of action and comedy, and the sheer sense of fun that runs through every moment. At the heart of the film is Dr. Lily Houghton, played by Emily Blunt. Lily is a fiercely determined and brilliant scientist who refuses to let the constraints of early 20th century society define her. From the very first scene, she's on a mission, one that could change the course of history. She believes in an ancient legend, a tale whispered through time about the tears of the moon, a mythical tree hidden deep within the Amazon that is said to have unparalleled healing properties. It's a discovery that could revolutionize medicine, and she's willing to risk everything to find it. But she can't do it alone. Alongside her is her well-dressed and somewhat reluctant brother McGregor, played by Jack Whitehall, whose proper British sensibilities are hilariously out of place in the wild, untamed jungle. And to get down the Amazon, they need the help of a captain, a man who knows the river better than anyone. Enter Frank Wolf, played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Frank isn't your typical hero. He's a riverboat captain, a hustler, and a man who seems to have a joke for every situation, even when danger is looming around the corner. His boat, the L'Aquila, may not look like much, but it's his home, and he's more than happy to take tourists on exciting jungle cruises filled with carefully staged dangers. At first, Frank sees Lily and McGregor as just another job, but it quickly becomes clear that this adventure is anything but ordinary. The moment he hears about the tears of the moon, he knows they're in for something far bigger than a simple boat ride. Of course, no great adventure is complete without a worthy villain, and Jungle Cruise delivers in the form of Prince Joachim, played by Jesse Plemons. Joachim isn't just any antagonist. He's a ruthless, eccentric German aristocrat who is after the tears of the moon for his own twisted reasons. Armed with a submarine and an army of soldiers, he'll stop at nothing to claim the legendary treasure for himself, believing it will give him the ultimate power to change the world. But the jungle has more secrets than anyone could have imagined. As Frank, Lily, and McGregor journey deeper into the unknown, they encounter something far more terrifying than rival treasure hunters. The legend of the tears of the moon is real, but so is the curse that guards it. Long ago, a group of conquistadors led by Aguirre, played by Edgar Ramirez, sought the tree's power, only to be trapped by the jungle itself. Now, centuries later, they live on as monstrous, undead beings, bound to the river, cursed to wander as living remnants of their former selves. These cursed warriors, each bound to a different element of the jungle, become a force of nature in their own right, making Lily and Frank's journey even more perilous. As the adventure unfolds, the secrets of the jungle and Frank's past come to light, revealing twists that no one saw coming. The journey isn't just about finding the legendary tree. It's about unraveling the mystery of Frank himself, a man who has more in common with the legends of the Amazon than he ever let on. With every mile down the river, the stakes get higher, the betrayals cut deeper, and the bond between Frank and Lily grows stronger. Their dynamic is filled with witty banter, playful rivalry, and a chemistry that makes every moment feel alive. Frank may be the captain of the boat, but Lily is the captain of the mission, and together they make an unlikely yet perfect team. The film doesn't just rely on big action sequences and breathtaking scenery. It's also filled with humor that makes it endlessly entertaining. From Frank's terrible dad jokes to McGregor's fish-out-of-water antics, there's a constant balance between high-stakes adventure and light-hearted fun. It's a throwback to classic adventure films like Indiana Jones and the Mummy, while also carving out its own identity in the genre. As the journey reaches its climax, the final battle isn't just about claiming the tears of the moon, it's about choosing what to do with it. The film poses questions about greed, responsibility, and the power of nature itself. And in the end, it's not brute strength or clever tricks that determine the fate of the legend. It's the choices made by those who dare to seek it with stunning cinematography, incredible visual effects, and a pulse-pounding score by James Newton Howard. Jungle Cruise transports audiences into a world where magic and history collide, where danger and discovery go hand in hand, and where every twist along the river leads to something unexpected. But the real magic of Jungle Cruise lies in its heart. At its core, it's a story about finding adventure in the unknown, about pushing past fear to uncover the truth, and about how sometimes the greatest discoveries aren't treasures, but the people you share the journey with. And just when you think you've seen it all, the film throws in one final surprise, one that changes everything we thought we knew about Frank, about the legend of the jungle, and about the true power of the tears of the moon. So, whether you're looking for pulse-pounding action, unforgettable characters, or a story that will sweep you away into the heart of the Amazon, Jungle Cruise is a ride worth taking. But be warned, the jungle is full of surprises, and not every legend is just a story. The Amazon River stretches endlessly, winding through dense jungles where ancient secrets remain buried beneath centuries of vines, myths, and uncharted waters. This is the heart of adventure, a place where the impossible feels just within reach. It's here that Jungle Cruise begins, a story that quickly plunges its characters, and the audience, into a race against time, danger, and fate itself. Dr. Lily Houghton, a fiercely determined scientist, is not one to be bound by the limitations of society. The year is 1916, and while most women of her time are expected to stay within the confines of academia or domestic life, Lily has spent her years chasing legends. She is driven by the relentless pursuit of one of the world's greatest myths, the tears of the moon, an ancient tree rumored to bear petals with incredible healing powers. Some say it's nothing more than a folk tale, but Lily believes otherwise. With her brother McGregor at her side, she embarks on a journey to retrieve a hidden arrowhead, a key said to unlock the path to the legendary tree. The year is 1916, and while most women of her time are expected to stay within the confines of academia or domestic life, Lily has spent her years chasing legends. She is driven by the relentless pursuit of one of the world's greatest myths, the tears of the moon, an ancient tree rumored to bear petals with incredible healing powers. Some say it's nothing more than a folk tale, but Lily believes otherwise. With her brother McGregor at her side, she embarks on a journey to retrieve a hidden arrowhead, a key said to unlock the path to the legendary tree. The chase begins in London, in the hallowed halls of a stuffy, male-dominated scientific society that has no interest in hearing about Lily's discoveries. When her theories are dismissed and her ambitions laughed at, she decides to take matters into her own hands. In a scene filled with wit and tension, Lily sneaks into a private office to steal the coveted arrowhead before it can fall into the hands of those who would exploit its power. This daring heist quickly turns into a pulse-pounding escape sequence, where she navigates corridors, dodges guards, and finally secures the artifact just in time. But there is another figure lurking in the shadows, watching her every move, Prince Joachim, a ruthless German aristocrat who is also after the tears of the moon for his own dark purposes. With the arrowhead in her possession, Lily wastes no time. Along with McGregor, she heads straight to South America, to the very place where adventure and danger awaits. It is in the bustling, chaotic port town deep in the Amazon where they meet Frank Wolfe, a rugged, wisecracking riverboat captain with a knack for getting into trouble. Frank's rickety boat, the L'Aquila, is far from luxurious, but it's fast, it's sturdy, and, most importantly, it's captained by someone who knows the Amazon like the back of his hand. Or at least, that's what he claims. From the very moment they meet, Lily and Frank are like oil and water. She is sharp, determined, and completely unimpressed by his charm, while Frank is equal parts amused and irritated by her no-nonsense attitude. Their first interaction is nothing short of a battle of wits, filled with snarky remarks and stubborn negotiation. Frank, ever the opportunist, initially refuses to take them on the journey, until he realizes just how much money Lily is willing to pay. As the boat sets sail down the winding river, the adventure officially begins. But the jungle is not just a breathtaking backdrop. It is alive, unpredictable, and filled with secrets waiting to be uncovered. Every bend in the river brings a new challenge, and it doesn't take long before the first of many dangers rears its head. A sudden attack by a tribe of warriors forces the group into a desperate fight for survival, their canoes rocking violently as arrows slice through the air. Just when it seems all hope is lost, Frank surprises everyone by revealing that he has a strange understanding with the locals. The warriors, it turns out, are not attackers at all but part of an elaborate deception orchestrated by Frank himself to scare away unwanted travelers. Lily is furious at the deception, but she also sees something unexpected. Frank is not just a simple riverboat captain. He knows far more than he lets on. As the boat pushes deeper into the jungle, the group begins to piece together clues from the arrowhead. Symbols carved into the artifact match markings on ancient ruins, leading them to an abandoned village where legends of the Tears of the Moon are whispered in hushed voices. The walls of the ruins tell a story of cursed conquistadors, of betrayal, and of a quest for power that ended in tragedy. It is here that they learn about Aguirre, a brutal Spanish explorer who centuries ago sought the tree's petals but was ultimately doomed to an eternal fate worse than death. The jungle itself swallowed him and his men, twisting their very bodies into something unnatural, something terrifying. But history is not just a story from the past, it is something that refuses to stay buried. Prince Joachim, always one step behind, has been following their every move. His relentless pursuit leads to a high-stakes confrontation, forcing Lily, Frank, and McGregor to flee deeper into the jungle. In a harrowing chase through the thick underbrush, the L'Aquila narrowly escapes an ambush, but not before they suffer serious damage to the boat. Tensions rise. Frank and Lily clash over their next move, their tempers flaring as they debate how to proceed. She accuses him of holding back secrets, of knowing more than he's willing to admit. He brushes it off with a joke, but there is something in his eyes, a flicker of something unspoken, something buried. Then, just as the group believes they have a moment to regroup, the jungle delivers its next surprise. In the dead of night, strange whispers echo through the trees, and the air turns eerily still. Before anyone can react, Aguirre and his cursed men emerge from the shadows, their bodies twisted with vines, snakes, and jagged, ancient wounds that never healed. They are neither dead nor alive, trapped in an existence where the jungle itself keeps them bound to this world. Aguirre, once a man driven by conquest, now seeks only one thing, the key to breaking his curse. And that key lies with Lily and the arrowhead she possesses. What follows is a frantic, edge-of-the-seat confrontation as Aguirre and his men attack the boat, their supernatural forms allowing them to move in terrifying, inhuman ways. Frank fights with everything he has, but there is something different about him now. Something about the way he stands against Aguirre, the way he seems to know this foe more intimately than he should. And then, in a shocking twist, the truth begins to surface. As Aguirre sneers at Frank, a revelation cuts through the chaos. Frank is not who he claims to be. There is more to his story, more to his connection to the legend, more to the reason why he knows the jungle so well. Lily watches, realization dawning, as Frank makes a split-second decision, one that will change the course of their adventure forever. As the journey along the Amazon continues, the adventure takes on an even more intense and treacherous turn. Frank, Lily, and McGregor find themselves deeper into the jungle, where the river narrows, and the danger around them becomes more unpredictable. The quest for the fabled Tears of the Moon, the legendary petals said to have the power to heal any ailment, is no longer just an academic pursuit for Lily. It's now a matter of survival. With Prince Joachim and his ruthless men still hot on their trail and the cursed conquistadors lurking in the shadows, the stakes couldn't be higher. The tension between Frank and Lily grows, but so does the undeniable connection between them. Lily, ever the fearless explorer, remains skeptical of Frank's motives. Yet she starts to notice his knowledge of the jungle is far beyond what any ordinary river guide should possess. He seems to navigate through the dense foliage with an ease that suggests he has been here far longer than he claims. Even his cryptic warnings about the jungle's power and the true cost of their expedition hint at a secret he is still reluctant to reveal. As they follow the ancient map, deciphering clues and symbols left behind by long-forgotten explorers, they arrive at an area where the river splits, leading into a cave hidden behind a massive waterfall. But just as they begin to feel like they are making progress, Prince Joaquim's submarine resurfaces, cutting off their escape route. As they follow the ancient map, deciphering clues and symbols left behind by long-forgotten explorers, they arrive at an area where the river splits, leading into a cave hidden behind a massive waterfall. But just as they begin to feel like they are making progress, Prince Joaquim's submarine resurfaces, cutting off their escape route. His men, armed with rifles and explosives, force Frank and Lily into a desperate chase through the jungle, where every vine, every fallen log, and every hidden pit threatens to bring their journey to an end. Joaquim, cunning as ever, has more than just brute force at his disposal. He has managed to awaken the cursed conquistadors, the undead warriors who had once sought the same treasure centuries ago but were trapped by the jungle itself. Their leader, Aguirre, driven by rage and desperation, senses an opportunity to break the curse that binds him to the river. He offers Joaquim an uneasy alliance. If the prince helps him retrieve the petals, Aguirre will ensure that Lily, Frank, and McGregor never leave the jungle alive. As Frank and Lily barely escape, they come upon a hidden temple, seemingly untouched by time. The walls are covered in ancient carvings, telling the story of the tears of the moon. But what shocks Lily the most is a carving that bears a striking resemblance to Frank himself. It is here that Frank is forced to confess his secret. He is over 400 years old, one of the very conquistadors who first sought the petals, only to be cursed to forever wander the river. The revelation stuns Lily. Frank, the gruff, sarcastic boat captain she has been arguing with, has lived through centuries, cursed to never leave the jungle. He was once one of Aguirre's men, but when he saw the destruction and bloodshed his fellow conquistadors caused in their obsession with the petals, he turned against them, trapping them with the jungle's magic to prevent them from using the tears for their own twisted ambitions. His betrayal cost him his mortality, and he has since spent the centuries searching for a way to end his curse. Lily, though taken aback, realizes that Frank has been protecting the jungle and its secrets all this time. His cynicism, his reluctance to believe in legends, and his sarcastic nature are all shields to mask the pain of watching time pass while he remains unchanged. But before she can process it all, Joaquim and Aguirre arrive at the temple, setting off an explosive battle within the sacred site. In the chaos, the long-buried tears of the moon tree is revealed, bathed in moonlight as its petals begin to bloom. But the ancient magic surrounding the petals comes with a cost. The jungle will protect them at all costs. Vines start to twist and turn, separating friend from foe, while Aguirre and his men become desperate, knowing this is their one chance to break their eternal torment. Joaquim, determined to take the petals for himself, fights with a manic obsession. But the jungle has no patience for his greed. As he tries to escape with the petals, the temple begins to collapse, and he is ultimately crushed beneath the ruins, his ambition costing him his life. Meanwhile, Aguirre and Frank face off in a final confrontation. Aguirre, filled with rage at Frank's betrayal centuries ago, refuses to let him take the petals, determined to claim them for himself. Their battle is brutal, filled with centuries of resentment, but in the end, Frank makes the ultimate sacrifice. He lures Aguirre back into the depths of the jungle, where the vines once again trap the cursed conquistadors, sealing them away forever. But in doing so, Frank himself succumbs to the curse. He turns to stone before Lily's eyes, his immortality finally reaching its tragic end. Heartbroken, Lily retrieves one final petal, the last remaining piece of the legendary flower, and in a moment of quiet hope, she places it against Frank's stone form. As the first rays of sunlight hit the temple ruins, the magic of the petals does something extraordinary. Frank breathes again. The curse is broken, and he is no longer bound to the river. He is finally free. With their adventure coming to an end, Lily, McGregor, and Frank return to civilization, forever changed by what they have experienced. Lily, once skeptical of myths and legends, now knows that some stories are more real than science can ever explain. McGregor, once reluctant to embrace adventure, has found his own bravery. And Frank, after centuries of wandering, has finally found something worth living for. In the final moments, Lily asks Frank what he plans to do now that he is free. He smiles, looking at the city before him, and with his signature sarcasm, he says, "Well, I think I could get used to dry land." And as they walk forward into the next chapter of their lives, the jungle remains behind them, wild, untamed, and full of secrets yet to be discovered. As Jungle Cruise unfolds, it becomes clear that its characters are not just adventurers thrown into a perilous journey. They are complex individuals with distinct motivations, pasts filled with secrets, and an undeniable chemistry that fuels the film's momentum. Each of them undergoes personal growth, making their adventure down the Amazon more than just a treasure hunt. It's a journey of self-discovery, trust, and breaking free from the chains of their past. At the heart of the film is Dr. Lily Houghton, a determined and fearless botanist whose relentless pursuit of scientific discovery is matched only by her refusal to conform to society's expectations. From the moment she is introduced, stealing an ancient artifact from a private research society, it is clear that Lily is not the typical heroine of her time. In the rigid, male-dominated world of early 20th century academia, she refuses to be sidelined, pushing through obstacles with wit, charm, and a sense of humor that makes her instantly likable. Lily's defining characteristic is her unwavering belief in the tears of the moon, the legendary petals said to possess miraculous healing properties. Unlike others who have sought the treasure for personal gain, she genuinely wants to use it for the betterment of humankind. Her scientific mind is always at odds with the mysticism surrounding the legend, making her an interesting mix of skepticism and faith. Her journey down the Amazon is as much about proving herself as it is about the treasure. The adventure forces her to confront the unknown, stepping beyond the rigid world of scientific logic and embracing the magic that the jungle holds. Her character is brilliantly portrayed by Emily Blunt, who brings a mix of intelligence, determination, and comedic timing that makes Lily a force to be reckoned with. But what makes Lily's arc even more compelling is her gradual transformation from a lone wolf to someone who learns the value of trust and partnership. At the beginning of the film, she sees herself as entirely self-sufficient, rarely relying on others. Her relationship with her brother McGregor is protective but sometimes dismissive, and her initial dynamic with Frank is built on mistrust. However, as the film progresses, she realizes that survival in the jungle requires more than just knowledge. It requires teamwork, vulnerability, and the ability to believe in things she cannot yet explain. And then there's Frank Wolf, the wisecracking, charismatic riverboat captain with an air of mystery that makes him both endearing and impossible to fully trust. Another important critical perspective is how the film approaches colonialism and historical exploration. The search for the tears of the moon, an ancient tree with mythical healing properties, draws immediate comparisons to the real-world colonial quests for natural resources, from rubber to medicinal plants, that often devastated indigenous populations. Jungle Cruise does not shy away from acknowledging these implications. Lily's mission is scientific, but the antagonists, particularly the German Prince Joachim, represent the exploitative forces that have historically plundered lands for power and wealth. The German imperialist antagonist is a particularly interesting choice, serving as a reminder of the dangers of unchecked ambition and conquest. Prince Joachim, played with theatrical flamboyance by Jesse Plemons, represents a caricature of European colonial figures who sought to claim foreign lands, ignoring the cultures and histories of those they oppressed. His obsession with acquiring the tears of the moon not for science, but for dominance in warfare, speaks to the dark history of how natural discoveries were often weaponized rather than shared for the greater good. This theme also ties into the cursed conquistadors, Aguirre and his men, who serve as a haunting reminder of the price of greed and the exploitation of indigenous lands. Their backstory, rooted in betrayal and destruction, carries heavy allegorical weight. The film subtly critiques the arrogance of European explorers who believed they could bend nature to their will, only to be consumed by the very forces they sought to control. From a thematic standpoint, One of the film's strongest elements is its exploration of immortality and the weight it carries. Frank Wolff, who is later revealed to be one of the cursed conquistadors himself, has lived for centuries, doomed to roam the Amazon as punishment for his past sins. His journey mirrors the themes found in stories like Pirates of the Caribbean and Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, where the pursuit of eternal life is ultimately revealed to be a curse rather than a blessing. Frank's character arc serves as a reflection on the cost of time, loneliness, and redemption. While Aguirre and his men are consumed by bitterness and vengeance, Frank has spent centuries atoning for his past, choosing to protect the jungle rather than exploit it. This moral divide highlights the theme of choice, whether to repeat the mistakes of the past or forge a new path forward. Lily's discovery of Frank's immortality adds emotional weight to their relationship. Their connection is not just built on adventure and mutual admiration, but on a deeper understanding of loss and perseverance. Frank, who has lived through centuries of solitude, finds hope in Lily, a person who refuses to let the world define her limits. One of the most emotional moments in the film is when Frank willingly turns to stone, accepting his fate after centuries of existence. In a story that celebrates adventure and daring exploits, this moment is a rare pause for introspection, a reminder that life's greatest treasures are not eternal youth or power, but the fleeting connections and choices we make. But Jungle Cruise is not just a film of philosophical weight, it is also a celebration of spectacle, humor, and the magic of storytelling. The film's action sequences are meticulously crafted, blending practical stunts with CGI to create a world that feels immersive and alive. From the chaotic boat chases through winding Amazonian rivers to the pulse-pounding confrontations with supernatural enemies, every set piece is designed to evoke the thrill of classic adventure films while embracing modern cinematic techniques. The humor, often delivered through Frank's terrible dad jokes and the dynamic between him and Lily, serves as a reminder that adventure films should be fun, that danger and excitement can coexist with light-hearted moments. Dwayne Johnson's charismatic presence as Frank allows for a balance between rugged action hero and comedic trickster, while Emily Blunt's sharp wit ensures that the banter remains fast-paced and engaging. The film's critical reception was largely positive, with many praising its energetic performances, nostalgic adventure vibes, and creative world-building. Critics noted that while Jungle Cruise borrowed from many classic films, it infused enough originality and heart to stand on its own. Some critics felt that the CGI-heavy action scenes leaned too far into spectacle, occasionally overwhelming the film's more intimate moments. Others believed that while the film's themes of colonialism and exploitation were present, they could have been explored even further. Audiences, however, embraced Jungle Cruise wholeheartedly. Fans of classic adventure films found it to be a welcome return to a genre that has become increasingly rare in Hollywood. The chemistry between Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt was widely praised, with many hoping for a sequel that further explores their characters' journey. The film's box office success, earning over $220 million worldwide despite releasing during the pandemic, solidified its place as a new fan favorite within the Disney adventure lineup. Its success also sparked discussions about potential spin-offs or expansions within the world of Jungle Cruise, considering the richness of its lore and the potential for new stories. Ultimately, Jungle Cruise succeeds because it understands what makes adventure films timeless. It is a story about bravery, discovery, and the pursuit of knowledge, but also about responsibility, love, and the choices that define us. It blends high-stakes action with heartfelt moments, making it an adventure not just of spectacle, but of spirit. In the end, Jungle Cruise isn't just about finding the legendary Tears of the Moon, it's about what it means to truly live. It reminds us that the greatest journeys are not just about where we go, but about the people we travel with, the choices we make, and the legacies we leave behind. From the moment Jungle Cruise set sail into production, it was clear that this film was going to be more than just another adventure flick. It was going to be a spectacle filled with larger-than-life action, unexpected humor, and a mystical storyline that would bring audiences into the heart of the Amazon. But behind the sweeping river vistas, the elaborate action sequences, and the high-energy performances of Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt, a world of fascinating, strange, and unexpected occurrences took place, making the production of Jungle Cruise just as thrilling as the film itself. One of the most intriguing aspects of the film was how closely it tied to its Disneyland theme park ride origins. The Jungle Cruise attraction has been a part of Disney parks since 1955, taking guests on a humorous, animatronic-filled boat journey through exotic jungles. But unlike other Disney ride-based films like Pirates of the Caribbean, Jungle Cruise didn't have a pre-existing storyline to adapt. It was simply a ride filled with corny jokes, scripted animatronic dangers, and a wisecracking boat captain. This meant that the filmmakers had to build an entire mythology from scratch, while still keeping the spirit of the classic ride intact. To make sure they paid tribute to the original ride, the filmmakers included several nods and Easter eggs throughout the movie. One of the most obvious homages comes in Frank's pun-filled river cruise scenes, where he delivers cheesy one-liners straight out of the Disneyland attraction. Lines like, "the backside of water," were directly lifted from the real-life ride, bringing a sense of nostalgia for fans who had experienced the attraction before. However, the journey to bringing Jungle Cruise to life wasn't always smooth sailing. The film went through several rewrites and director changes before finally landing in the hands of Jaume Collet-Serra, known for his intense action thrillers. Originally, the film had been in development since the early 2000s, with various versions of the script floating around Hollywood. At one point, Tom Hanks and Tim Allen were considered for the lead roles, which would have made it a completely different kind of movie, more comedic and buddy adventure-oriented. But once Dwayne Johnson was cast as Frank, the entire vision of the film shifted. Johnson wasn't just a leading man. He was also a producer, which gave him a hand in shaping the story, the characters, and even some of the film's biggest action sequences. He wanted Jungle Cruise to be a mix of Indiana Jones-style adventure and classic Disney charm, with high-stakes thrills, a deep mythology, and plenty of humor. Johnson's dedication to practical effects and stunt work added an extra level of authenticity to the film. One of the most surprising behind-the-scenes facts is that many of the jungle sets weren't CGI, they were built from scratch. While some scenes used visual effects to enhance the environment, entire sections of the Amazon River were recreated on massive sound stages and outdoor sets, complete with real water, dense jungle foliage, and towering trees. The production team spent months building the river set, ensuring that the water movement, boat docking, and jungle ambience felt real. This level of practical craftsmanship is rare in modern Hollywood blockbusters, where green screens often replace physical sets. Emily Blunt later admitted that filming on real sets with physical boats and water made the experience far more immersive, helping the actors react more naturally to their surroundings. However, not all aspects of filming were as smooth as the river they were navigating. One of the strangest on-set occurrences involved an unexpected animal invasion. While the cast and crew were filming in Hawaii, standing in for the Amazon, wild boars kept wandering onto the set, disrupting takes and occasionally startling the actors mid-scene. Dwayne Johnson, always the entertainer, joked that the boars were just auditioning for roles in the movie, while Emily Blunt found their random appearances hilarious but distracting. At one point, an entire scene had to be res-hot because a particularly large boar refused to leave the frame. Another unexpected challenge came from the film's elaborate stunts, particularly those involving Dwayne Johnson's boat-driving skills. Despite his action hero reputation, Johnson had to undergo special training to properly maneuver Frank's steamboat, L'Aquila, through the set's tricky waters. Operating a massive riverboat is nothing like driving a car, and at one point, Johnson accidentally ran the boat into part of the set, causing a delay in filming while the damage was repaired. For Emily Blunt, her biggest physical challenge was the elaborate vine-swinging stunt. In an early scene, her character, Dr. Lily Houghton, attempts to swing across a large gap but completely botches the landing, crashing into a tree. While the moment is played for laughs in the film, Blunt actually had to perform a version of the stunt herself. Despite being harnessed and supported by wires, she miscalculated her swing during one take and ended up hitting the tree a bit harder than expected, leading to a few bruises. The camaraderie between Blunt and Johnson became one of the most entertaining aspects of the film's promotion. Their playful banter and teasing during interviews made it clear that their on-screen chemistry wasn't just acting, it was a genuine friendship. Behind the scenes, Blunt often challenged Johnson's tough guy persona, poking fun at his meticulous grooming routine, while Johnson jokingly called Blunt the boss of the film. One of the most surprising casting decisions in the film was Jesse Plemons as the villainous Prince Joachim. Plemons, known for his serious and intense roles, completely embraced the over-the-top nature of the character, making him both hilarious and terrifying at the same time. He later revealed that he based his character's dramatic German accent on classic movie villains, wanting Joachim to feel like he had stepped right out of an old-school adventure film. Paul Giamatti's role as the eccentric harbormaster was also an interesting addition. Giamatti wasn't originally in the script. His character was added after Dwayne Johnson suggested they needed a quirky, scene-stealing personality to add comedic moments early in the film. Another strange fact? The cursed conquistadors, led by Aguirre, played by Edgar Ramirez, were heavily inspired by Pirates of the Caribbean. The snakes, vines, and beehive-infested designs of the undead warriors were created to feel mythical and eerie, but not so terrifying that they would push the film into horror territory. As for the film's music, composer James Newton Howard created a sweeping, adventurous score that captured the spirit of classic Hollywood adventure films. However, one of the most unexpected musical choices was the inclusion of Metallica's Nothing Else Matters in the soundtrack. The idea to incorporate a symphonic, orchestral version of the song came from director Jaume Collet-Serra, who thought the melody perfectly fit the film's mystical tone. After all the behind-the-scenes adventures, Jungle Cruise finally hit theaters in July 2021, earning over $220 million worldwide despite the challenges of a pandemic-era release. It quickly became one of Disney's most successful ride-to-film adaptations, proving that even a simple theme park attraction could inspire a thrilling, high-stakes cinematic journey. And just like that, what started as a 1955 Disneyland river ride transformed into a modern-day adventure filled with humor, danger, and heart. Whether it was unexpected boar invasions, daring stunts gone wrong, or actors embracing the wild energy of the story, the making of Jungle Cruise was just as unpredictable as the adventure itself. The making of Jungle Cruise was just as much of an adventure as the story itself. From unexpected on-set challenges to fascinating behind-the-scenes decisions that shaped the film, there were countless moments that made this production unique. Just like the legendary expedition down the Amazon that the characters embark on, the journey to bring this film to life was filled with surprises, humor, and a few unexpected twists. One of the most intriguing aspects of Jungle Cruise was its deep roots in Disney's history. Unlike most adventure films, which are inspired by books or historical events, this movie was based on a theme park ride, one of Disneyland's oldest and most beloved attractions. The Jungle Cruise ride, first introduced in 1955, was known for its tongue-in-cheek humor, animatronic animals, and skippers who delivered endless puns. The film's challenge was to take that light-hearted experience and turn it into a grand, cinematic adventure that still honored its playful origins. The script even incorporated classic jokes from the ride, including the infamous backside of water gag, which fans immediately recognized and loved. One of the film's most unexpected casting surprises was Dwayne Johnson as Frank Wolf, the gruff, charismatic riverboat captain. While Johnson is known for his action hero roles, he had never played a character quite like Frank before, a mix of adventure, humor, and a mysterious backstory that made him more than just a strongman. Johnson was also personally invested in the project, having been a huge Disney fan since childhood. He even became a producer on the film, helping shape the story and making sure it stayed true to both the ride spirit and the adventurous tone of classic films like Indiana Jones and the African Queen. Emily Blunt, cast as the fearless and brilliant Dr. Lily Houghton, had an equally strong presence in shaping her character. In early drafts, Lily was written as a more traditional adventurer, but Blunt pushed for her to be bold, witty, and full of energy, making sure she wasn't just a sidekick to Johnson's character. The chemistry between Blunt and Johnson became one of the film's highlights, but what audiences didn't know was that Blunt almost didn't take the role. At first, she was hesitant to join another major blockbuster after finishing Mary Poppins Returns, but when she saw the film's mix of humor, adventure, and heart, she knew it was too fun to pass up. One of the most challenging aspects of the film's production was bringing the Amazon to life. While Jungle Cruise is set deep in the jungle, most of it was not filmed in the Amazon at all. Instead, production took place in Hawaii and Atlanta, with massive water sets built to recreate the feel of an unpredictable, untamed river. The recreation of the Amazon was so detailed that even the insects and vines had to be strategically placed to make everything look natural. The riverboat set was also built on a special hydraulic system, allowing it to move realistically without needing to be filmed on an actual river. Despite the impressive set work, some elements of filming did take place in real jungle environments. This presented challenges the crew hadn't anticipated. Wild animals occasionally wandered into shots, unexpected storms would halt production, and the heat and humidity made wearing costumes unbearable. Johnson even joked in interviews that the sweat seen on screen wasn't makeup, it was very real. The CGI in Jungle Cruise was also a crucial part of bringing the adventure to life. While some films over-rely on digital effects, director Jaume Collet-Serra insisted that many scenes use a mix of practical and digital elements. For example, the Jaguar Proxima, Frank's loyal companion, was entirely CGI, but Johnson insisted on working with a real-life stand-in, a massive stuffed Jaguar prop, to make the interactions feel authentic. The digital effects team studied real jaguars closely, ensuring that Proxima's movements, expressions, and personality felt lifelike. One of the most complicated sequences to film was the villainous Prince Joachim's submarine attack. Since there were no actual submarines from the 1910s available for filming, the production team had to build a massive set piece that could be submerged in water and moved realistically. The sequence involved complex stunt work, underwater filming, and precision timing to make everything appear seamless. Speaking of villains, Jesse Plemons' portrayal of Prince Joachim became one of the film's most unexpectedly funny elements. The character, inspired by classic over-the-top villains of adventure films, was entirely unpredictable, switching from menacing to oddly charming within seconds. Plemons improvised many of his lines, leading to unexpectedly hilarious moments that made it into the final cut. Johnson and Blunt admitted that Plemons was so committed to his eccentric performance that they often struggled to keep a straight face while filming with him. The supernatural curse that trapped Frank and the Conquistadors also required some of the film's most impressive digital effects. To create the eerie, vine-covered appearance of Aguirre and his men, the effects team used motion capture technology, allowing actors to perform with full facial expressions before transforming into their cursed forms. The idea of using vines, snakes, and honeycombs as part of their design was chosen to reflect how they had been consumed by the jungle over centuries. Beyond the visual spectacle, Jungle Cruise also made history by including one of Disney's first openly LGBTQ+ characters. Jack Whitehall's McGregor Houghton, Lily's brother, had a heartfelt scene where he discusses his romantic preferences and his loyalty to his sister. While subtle, the moment was a major step forward for inclusivity in Disney films, even though some fans felt the representation could have been expanded further. One of the biggest surprises during production came in the final days of filming. The cast and crew had developed such a strong bond that when filming wrapped, Dwayne Johnson surprised everyone by gifting each main cast member a personalized, antique-style compass engraved with their initials. The gift was a tribute to the film's theme of adventure and discovery, making it a special keepsake for everyone involved. When Jungle Cruise finally premiered in 2021, it faced a unique challenge. It was released during the COVID-19 pandemic, meaning that audiences weren't able to experience it in theaters in the way they normally would. However, despite this, the film performed impressively, grossing over $220 million worldwide and becoming one of Disney's most successful hybrid releases, both in theaters and on Disney+. Critics and audiences praised the film's charm, humor, and action-packed energy, with many comparing it to the spirit of Indiana Jones and Pirates of the Caribbean. Fans loved the chemistry between Johnson and Blunt, the blend of humor and adventure, and the thrilling action sequences. Some critics felt the plot relied too heavily on familiar adventure tropes, but most agreed that the film delivered exactly what it promised: fun, excitement, and a journey worth taking. Looking back, Jungle Cruise was more than just another Disney adventure film. It was a love letter to classic exploration tales, a tribute to the beloved theme park ride, and an ambitious project that blended practical and digital effects to create a world of mystery and excitement. The film's success has already led to talks of a sequel, with both Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt eager to return for another journey. Whether it's another perilous river expedition or a new adventure beyond the Amazon, one thing is certain. Audiences still crave the thrill of the unknown, and Jungle Cruise delivered it in spectacular fashion. The movie Jungle Cruise, 2021, inspired by the iconic Disney theme park ride, brought together a whirlwind of adventure, humor, and mysticism, but behind the scenes, its journey was as thrilling as the expedition undertaken by its characters. From bizarre production mishaps to hidden Easter eggs, Jungle Cruise is packed with fascinating details that most viewers might never suspect. Its creation was a blend of old-school Hollywood magic, cutting-edge visual effects, and an almost supernatural streak of strange occurrences that left the cast and crew both bewildered and amused. During filming, the production team faced some truly unusual obstacles. One of the most bizarre incidents involved the Amazonian setting itself, not in real life, but in how the production had to painstakingly replicate it. Though the story is set in the early 20th century Amazon rainforest, much of the filming took place in Hawaii. However, despite the beauty of the location, it came with its own share of surprises. Several crew members reported encountering aggressive insects and other creatures not native to the area, as if nature itself was pushing back against the illusion. Some of the local fauna even found their way onto the set, including a particularly stubborn parrot that would repeatedly interrupt scenes by squawking at the most dramatic moments, forcing numerous retakes. One of the most unexpected behind-the-scenes challenges involved the enormous set pieces. Since the movie features an elaborate steamboat, the design and construction of this vessel required an insane level of precision. Rather than rely solely on CGI, the filmmakers built a massive, fully functional boat to add authenticity to the adventure. This decision, however, led to some unexpected consequences, as the boat was so large and unwieldy that it frequently got stuck during filming. The set designers had meticulously crafted it to look like an authentic early 1900s riverboat, complete with mechanical components, but the sheer weight made certain scenes difficult to shoot, especially when attempting dynamic action sequences. More than once, the boat's movement created waves so powerful that it nearly toppled cameras and crew members positioned nearby. Eventually, a clever combination of practical effects and CGI enhancements was used to balance the boat's movements and make the sequences flow smoothly. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, known for his larger-than-life persona both on and off the screen, had his fair share of unexpected experiences while working on Jungle Cruise. One of the most talked-about quirks of production was his unusual pre-shoot routine. Johnson is notorious for his strict fitness regimen, and he maintained his intense diet even while on set. However, one of his on-set meals went viral among the crew after he was caught eating an entire meal, steak, eggs, and rice, on a prop that wasn't actually a table but a disguised piece of the jungle set. His co-star, Emily Blunt, couldn't contain her laughter when she realized that Johnson was casually having breakfast on what was supposed to be an ancient ruin. The incident quickly became an inside joke among the cast, with members playfully referring to it as The Rock's sacred dining spot for the rest of the shoot. Blunt herself had an interesting time adjusting to the action-heavy sequences in the film. While she has experience in action films, including Edge of Tomorrow, she admitted that some of the stunts required for Jungle Cruise were unexpectedly difficult. One scene, in particular, involved her character leaping onto the moving boat with perfect timing. Though it looks seamless in the final cut, Blunt actually had to repeat the stunt numerous times because the boat's movement made it difficult to land exactly where she needed to. On more than one occasion, she ended up in the water, much to the amusement of her co-stars. At one point, the crew began taking bets on how many takes it would require before she nailed the jump. When she finally got it right, everyone erupted into applause, and Johnson jokingly declared it the most legendary leap in cinematic history. Even stranger were some of the supernatural rumors that surrounded the set. As the film dabbles in mystical themes, cursed conquistadors, ancient relics, and the power of nature, some members of the production started to believe that the movie itself might have invited a bit of bad luck. Several minor accidents occurred on set, including unexplained equipment failures and sudden weather changes that forced delays. At one point, while filming a crucial scene involving a cave, the crew found that their lights kept flickering on and off, despite there being no electrical issues recorded. Some joked that they had disturbed an ancient spirit, while others blamed it on the high humidity and unpredictable environment. Either way, the eerie occurrences gave Jungle Cruise an extra layer of mystery behind the camera. There were also some fascinating connections to the original Disney attraction hidden throughout the film. Director Jaume Collet-Serra was determined to pay tribute to the ride's rich history, and eagle-eyed fans may have noticed a number of clever Easter eggs. The most obvious nod comes in the form of the jokes that Johnson's character, Frank, delivers during the Jungle Cruise tour sequences. These puns and groan-worthy one-liners are a direct homage to the real-life Jungle Cruise skippers who have entertained theme park guests for decades. Johnson even improvised some of his own lines, adding his own twist to the legendary jokes. In another hidden detail, a certain artifact seen in the background of one scene features the name Albert Falls, a subtle reference to Dr. Albert Falls, the fictional explorer from the Jungle Cruise ride's lore. Another fascinating bit of trivia is that Jungle Cruise almost took a very different form before reaching the big screen. The idea of a Jungle Cruise movie had been floating around Disney for years, with various scripts and concepts considered. At one point, the project was envisioned as a more straightforward action-adventure, akin to Indiana Jones, without as much humor or fantastical elements. It was only after Johnson became involved that the film took on its final shape, blending action, comedy, and supernatural adventure. Johnson himself played a major role in shaping the film's tone, advocating for a fun, family-friendly experience that still packed a punch in terms of action. One of the strangest coincidences of production involved the film's release date. Originally slated for a 2020 premiere, Jungle Cruise was delayed due to the global pandemic, eventually hitting theaters and Disney Plus in 2021. Strangely enough, the delay actually ended up benefiting the film in an unexpected way. During post-production, the extra time allowed the visual effects team to fine-tune certain sequences, making the CGI creatures and landscapes even more immersive. It also gave the marketing team an opportunity to build more hype around the film, leading to a larger audience upon release. While delays are usually seen as setbacks in Hollywood, Jungle Cruise was one of the rare cases where the timing worked out for the best. Perhaps the most heartwarming and slightly eerie fact about Jungle Cruise is its connection to Walt Disney himself. Walt Disney personally oversaw the creation of the original Jungle Cruise ride in Disneyland, and he was passionate about making it a thrilling yet light-hearted experience. In an unexpected full-circle moment, the film was released exactly 66 years after the ride's debut in 1955. Fans of Disney history couldn't help but find it poetic that the film adaptation came out on such a significant anniversary. Some even suggested that the timing was almost as if Walt's spirit had orchestrated the release to align with the legacy he had built decades earlier. Throughout its production, Jungle Cruise proved to be a film full of surprises, both on and off the screen. From bizarre animal encounters and supernatural rumors to hilarious on-set mishaps and hidden connections to Disney lore, the making of this adventure film was nearly as wild as the story it tells. While audiences enjoyed the thrilling ride through the Amazon with Frank and Lily, the behind-the-scenes journey was its own unpredictable expedition, filled with unexpected detours, legendary moments, and just the right amount of Disney magic. The hybrid use of practical and digital effects extended to the film's grandest set piece, the hidden temple of La Luna Rota. While the towering rock formations and glowing petals of the Tears of the Moon tree were created using CGI, the temple itself was built as a massive physical set, allowing the actors to interact with their environment in a tangible way. The decision to construct practical elements wherever possible helped ground the film's fantasy elements, ensuring that even the most fantastical moments retained a sense of authenticity. Of course, the adventure of Jungle Cruise extended beyond the filmmaking process and into the world of box office performance. Originally slated for a theatrical release in 2020, the film faced multiple delays due to the global pandemic, eventually premiering in July 2021 as part of Disney's hybrid release strategy, simultaneously launching in theaters and on Disney Plus via Premier Access. This decision was a reflection of the evolving film industry, where streaming had become an increasingly dominant force. While some purists worried that the hybrid release might undercut box office numbers, Jungle Cruise managed to navigate the challenge with strong earnings, grossing over $220 million worldwide despite the constraints of the pandemic era. The film's availability on Disney Plus also expanded its reach, allowing families to enjoy the adventure from home, contributing to its overall success. Critically, Jungle Cruise received praise for its charismatic leads, energetic action, and nostalgic adventure spirit, though some critics noted its reliance on familiar tropes. Audiences, however, largely embraced the film for what it was, a fun, thrilling ride that captured the essence of classic exploration tales while updating them for modern audiences. The chemistry between Johnson and Blunt was widely regarded as one of the film's biggest strengths, with many comparing their dynamic to legendary duos like Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn in The African Queen. In the end, Jungle Cruise was a testament to the power of cinematic storytelling, blending traditional filmmaking techniques with modern innovations to create an experience that felt both timeless and fresh. From its sweeping cinematography to its meticulously crafted soundscapes, from its larger-than-life action sequences to its intimate character moments, the film stood as a celebration of adventure in all its forms. Whether on the big screen or at home, it invited audiences to embark on a journey that reminded them why stories of exploration, discovery, and unlikely heroes continue to captivate generation after generation. The journey of Jungle Cruise, 2021, would not have been complete without the vibrant energy of its cast, a lineup of actors who not only brought their characters to life but also carried the spirit of adventure off-screen. From the moment the film was announced, the chemistry between Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Emily Blunt became one of its most talked-about aspects, with their playful banter spilling into press interviews, behind-the-scenes footage, and promotional events. Jesse Plemons, Edgar Ramirez, and Jack Whitehall also added their own distinct flavors to the ensemble, making the film a melting pot of charismatic performances. But beyond the film itself, what made Jungle Cruise stand out was the connection between its cast and the audiences who embraced it, sharing their thoughts and reactions in a way that solidified its place in modern adventure cinema. The pairing of Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt was not just a stroke of casting genius, it was the beating heart of the film. From the very beginning, Johnson had been deeply involved in the production, working closely with Disney to ensure the film captured the right mix of humor, adventure, and heart. But the real magic happened when Blunt joined the project, bringing an irresistible dynamic that perfectly balanced Johnson's larger-than-life persona with her sharp wit and effortless charm. Their chemistry was immediate, something that became evident not just in their performances but in every interview, red carpet appearance, and press junket they participated in. One of the most memorable moments in the film's promotional run came when Blunt revealed that she initially ignored Johnson's personal video invitation to join the film. Johnson, ever the showman, milked this story for all it was worth, recounting in interviews how he had poured his heart into that message, only to receive radio silence from Blunt for weeks. When Blunt finally admitted that she had hesitated because she wasn't sure if the film was the right fit for her, Johnson took every opportunity to remind her, and everyone watching, that he had been the one who convinced her to take the leap. The playful back-and-forth between them became a highlight of their press tour, proving that their off-screen friendship was just as strong as the one they portrayed in the film. Jack Whitehall, who played Lily's loyal but reluctant brother McGregor, also brought his own comedic energy to the production. A seasoned British comedian, Whitehall had a knack for turning even the most mundane moments into something hilarious, often improvising lines on set that had the cast and crew in stitches. His portrayal of McGregor, a character who finds himself completely out of his element in the jungle, added an extra layer of humor to the film, particularly in his interactions with Johnson's Frank. In one particularly funny interview moment, Whitehall confessed that his biggest challenge on set wasn't the stunts or the heat, but rather keeping a straight face whenever Johnson delivered one of Frank's signature dad jokes. "He would just look at me with this completely serious face and say the worst pun imaginable," Whitehall laughed, "and I had to pretend like I wasn't dying inside." Jesse Plemons, who took on the role of the delightfully unhinged Prince Joachim, embraced his character's over-the-top nature with a sense of theatricality that made him one of the most memorable villains in recent Disney films. In interviews, Plemons admitted that he had a blast playing a character so gleefully absurd, reveling in the chance to use an exaggerated German accent and deliver lines that bordered on comedic genius. "It's not often you get to play a villain who talks to bees," he joked. His performance struck a balance between menacing and ridiculous, making Prince Joaquim an antagonist that audiences couldn't help but love to hate. For Edgar Ramirez, who portrayed the cursed conquistador Aguirre, the role was a chance to dive into something visually and narratively complex. While his character wasn't as comedic as the others, he brought a deep sense of gravitas to the film, portraying a tragic figure whose ambitions had led him to an eternal curse. In interviews, Ramirez spoke about how much he enjoyed the challenge of playing a character who was both menacing and sympathetic. Aguirre isn't just a villain, he's someone who has suffered for centuries. That's what makes him dangerous, he explained. The transformation of Aguirre and his men into supernatural beings tied to the elements of the jungle was one of the film's most visually striking aspects, and Ramirez praised the effects team for making the cursed conquistadors feel like a true part of the world rather than just CGI additions. But the real test of Jungle Cruise wasn't just in how well its cast got along or how much fun they had making it, it was in how audiences received it. The cinematic journey of Jungle Cruise, 2021, extends far beyond its rollicking adventure through the Amazon, weaving together a rich tapestry of action, humor, and supernatural elements. Beneath the spectacle of sweeping jungle landscapes, cursed conquistadors, and a quest for an ancient relic lies a film that both embraces and subverts traditional adventure tropes. When examined through a critical lens, Jungle Cruise emerges as more than just an adaptation of a beloved Disney theme park ride. It becomes a film that grapples with history, mythology, and even contemporary social dynamics, crafting a unique place for itself within the adventure genre. The film's opening sequence immediately establishes a sense of grandeur and mystery, setting the stage for what will be an epic journey. We are introduced to the legend of the Tears of the Moon, a mythical tree with the power to heal, a concept deeply rooted in folklore and reminiscent of classic adventure stories that hinge on the pursuit of a life-altering artifact. This introduction is crucial, not only because it provides the central motivation for the characters, but also because it taps into a long-standing cinematic tradition where nature holds both immense beauty and untamed danger. However, what sets Jungle Cruise apart is how it intertwines the mystical with the historical. Rather than merely inventing an artifact, the film connects it to Spanish conquistadors who were cursed centuries ago, thereby drawing on real historical figures while reimagining their fates in a supernatural context. From a critical perspective, the character dynamics play a significant role in shaping the film's impact. Dr. Lily Houghton, portrayed by Emily Blunt, subverts the traditional role of a female lead in adventure films. Unlike the classic damsel in distress archetype often found in early Hollywood adventure films, Lily is headstrong, highly intelligent, and unafraid to take risks. She is introduced defying societal norms, infiltrating an exclusive male-dominated scientific society to steal an artifact that will allow her to locate the Tears of the Moon. This moment, while played with humor and wit, is also a sharp commentary on historical gender roles and the barriers women faced in fields like science and exploration. Her character carries the spirit of real-life female explorers who were often overshadowed in history, bringing a refreshing and modern perspective to a genre that has long been dominated by male protagonists. On the other side of the adventure is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's character, Frank Wolf, a riverboat captain with a sharp tongue, an endless supply of dad jokes, and a past shrouded in mystery. His presence immediately brings a charismatic, larger-than-life energy to the film, but as the story unfolds, layers of depth emerge. His initial portrayal as a simple, wisecracking guide belies a far more complex backstory, one that, when revealed, shifts the film's entire emotional core. The revelation that Frank is not just an ordinary adventurer, but an immortal conquistador cursed for centuries adds a deeply tragic element to his character. It transforms him from a comedic hero into a figure weighed down by time, loss, and the burden of an existence he never chose. This revelation is not just a twist for the sake of surprise. It fundamentally redefines his interactions with Lily and the entire narrative trajectory, making his eventual sacrifice and redemption all the more poignant. One of the film's most compelling aspects lies in its antagonist, Prince Joaquim, played by Jesse Plemons. A delightfully eccentric villain, Joaquim is a German aristocrat with grand ambitions, seeking the power of the Tears of the Moon for his own gain. While on the surface, he fits the mold of the classic imperial villain, wealthy, entitled, and ruthless. His exaggerated mannerisms and absurd levels of obsession elevate him beyond a mere stereotype. His interactions with a submarine in the middle of the Amazon, his over-the-top villainous monologues, and his interactions with his pet bees create a villain who is as entertaining as he is menacing. However, beyond his theatrics, he represents something more significant: the darker side of colonial ambition. The film subtly critiques historical figures like Joachim, who sought to plunder and exploit the natural world for personal and nationalistic gain, a theme that echoes throughout history. The presence of Aguirre and the cursed conquistadors adds another layer of thematic depth to the film. These figures, who were once men driven by greed and power, serve as ghostly reminders of colonial destruction. Unlike Joachim, who is still very much alive and scheming, Aguirre and his men have already paid the ultimate price for their transgressions. Bound to the jungle for eternity, their curse is a direct result of their attempts to take what was not theirs. In a way, the film presents them as tragic figures rather than outright villains, reinforcing the idea that nature itself exacts justice when humanity oversteps its bounds. The way they meld with the jungle, with Aguirre turning into snakes and others becoming part of the natural world, visually represents how the jungle has claimed them. This poetic punishment adds a layer of horror and poetic justice to their presence, making them more than just obstacles for the heroes. Another critical element of Jungle Cruise is its treatment of adventure and colonial narratives. Many classic adventure films, from Indiana Jones to The Mummy, have been criticized for their romanticized depiction of Western explorers plundering foreign lands in the name of science or treasure hunting. Jungle Cruise takes a different approach by making a conscious effort to acknowledge the consequences of such endeavors. Lily's quest for the tears of the moon is not framed as an act of conquest, but rather as an effort to use the petals for medical advancements that could save lives. Moreover, Frank, who has lived through centuries of history, is keenly aware of the mistakes made by those who seek to claim power over nature. The film does not ignore the problematic legacy of exploration but instead reshapes it, allowing its protagonists to respect and learn from the cultures and lands they navigate rather than simply take from them. The film also takes an interesting step in representation by including McGregor Houghton, Lily's brother, who is openly queer. While his storyline is not the central focus, his moment of vulnerability in which he acknowledges his identity to Frank is significant. In a genre where LGBTQ+ representation has been largely absent or coded in subtext, his presence and open acknowledgement of his struggles add a layer of realism to the historical context. While some critics argued that the film could have done more with his character, it was nevertheless a moment that signified progress in mainstream adventure films. Beyond its deeper themes, Jungle Cruise succeeds in creating an emotional resonance that lingers beyond the final credits. One of the most powerful moments in the film is Frank's decision to sacrifice himself to stop Aguirre and his men, allowing himself to turn to stone along with them. The emotional weight of this moment is profound because, for the first time in centuries, Frank is making a choice for someone else rather than simply surviving. His willingness to give up his immortality to protect Lily and the jungle is a testament to his growth, and the scene is executed with both visual spectacle and genuine emotion. His willingness to give up his immortality to protect Lily and the jungle is a testament to his growth, and the scene is executed with both visual spectacle and genuine emotion. When Lily ultimately uses the last petal to bring him back, it is not just a romantic gesture but a recognition that Frank, despite his centuries of suffering, deserves a second chance at life. The moment is both triumphant and deeply moving, cementing the film's heart at its core. The film's final scene, where Frank and Lily drive off in a car rather than a boat, is symbolic of their journey from the past to the present. Frank, once bound to an endless cycle of aimless existence, is finally free to move forward, while Lily, once a woman fighting for her place in a world that refused to acknowledge her, has found someone who recognizes her brilliance. It is a fitting conclusion to an adventure that was as much about self-discovery as it was about chasing myths. Jungle Cruise may have been marketed as a fun, action-packed adventure, but beneath its humor and high-energy sequences lies a film with unexpected depth. Through its careful handling of character dynamics, its revision of colonial adventure narratives, and its embrace of emotional storytelling, it elevates itself beyond a mere blockbuster. While it retains the excitement and grandeur of classic adventure films, It also challenges some of their outdated conventions, offering a fresh take on a beloved genre. In the end, Jungle Cruise is not just about the quest for a magical tree. It is about forging one's path, understanding history rather than repeating it, and embracing the unknown, not just as a challenge, but as an opportunity to grow. The making of Jungle Cruise, 2021, was an adventure almost as grand and unpredictable as the story it tells. From the moment Disney decided to bring its beloved theme park attraction to life, the film's journey was filled with creative challenges, unexpected surprises, and a deep commitment to capturing the spirit of old-fashioned adventure cinema. Every step of the filmmaking process, from set design to stunt work to unexpected on-set mishaps, became part of a larger story, a tale of passionate filmmakers, dedicated actors, and the sheer unpredictability of working in the wild. The process of adapting a theme park ride into a full-fledged action-adventure film was no small feat. The original Jungle Cruise ride, which debuted in Disneyland in 1955, was known for its dry-witted skippers, animatronic wildlife, and light-hearted approach to jungle exploration. Translating that into a feature film meant capturing both the humor and thrill of the ride while expanding it into a grand cinematic experience. From the outset, director Jaume Collet-Serra and the producers knew that the movie couldn't simply be about a boat tour gone wrong. It needed to feel like an epic adventure in the vein of Indiana Jones and the Mummy, with a mix of mythology, action, and heart. One of the most ambitious aspects of the production was the creation of Frank Wolf's steamboat, L'Aquila. Rather than relying entirely on digital effects, the filmmakers built a massive, fully operational boat for the film. The goal was to give the actors a real environment to interact with, ensuring that every scene aboard the vessel had an authentic, lived-in quality. The boat itself was an engineering marvel, designed to function as both a practical set and a movable prop. However, its size and weight led to a few unexpected issues during filming. At one point, while maneuvering it through the water, the boat became stuck, delaying shooting until a crew could figure out how to free it. The actors, instead of growing frustrated, used the downtime to entertain the crew, with Dwayne Johnson improvising new Jungle Cruise-style jokes that had everyone in stitches. Speaking of Johnson, his involvement in the project went far beyond just playing the role of Frank. From the early stages of development, he was deeply invested in shaping the film's tone, pushing for a blend of action and humor that would make it accessible to all audiences. His natural charisma made him a perfect fit for the role, but even he had moments where the jungle itself seemed determined to test his limits. During one particularly intense scene, where Frank is supposed to dramatically leap onto L'Aquila mid-motion, the timing kept going wrong. After multiple failed takes, one of which resulted in Johnson splashing into the water unexpectedly, the crew started joking that even The Rock couldn't conquer the Amazon. Emily Blunt, who played Dr. Lily Houghton, brought her own brand of adventurous spirit to the set. Known for her dedication to roles, she was adamant about performing many of her own stunts, a decision that led to both impressive action sequences and some hilarious mishaps. In one scene requiring her to swing from a vine in classic jungle adventure style, she underestimated the momentum, resulting in an unintentional and rather ungraceful landing that had the entire crew in tears of laughter. Despite this, she insisted on perfecting the stunt, and when she finally nailed it, the entire set erupted into applause. The chemistry between Johnson and Blunt wasn't just a scripted element. It was real, built through their natural rapport and mutual love of improvisation. The two actors constantly challenged each other to add more wit and humor to their scenes. While the script already included plenty of banter, some of the funniest exchanges between Frank and Lily were completely improvised. One of the most talked-about moments, in which Frank teases Lily about her trousers, something highly unconventional for a woman in 1916, was largely ad-libbed, with Blunt firing back with her own quick wit. Their on-set dynamic was so strong that many of their interactions ended up being extended in the final cut, as the filmmakers recognized that their comedic rhythm was a huge asset to the film. Aside from the leads, the film's villains also had their fair share of unforgettable moments during production. Jesse Plemons, who played the eccentric Prince Joachim, took great delight in crafting a character that was equal parts menacing and hilariously over the top. His exaggerated German accent and penchant for grandiose gestures made every take unpredictable. In one scene, where Joaquim is meant to dramatically issue a command from his submarine, Plemons became so engrossed in his performance that he accidentally knocked over part of the set with his gesturing, sending props tumbling into the water. The crew found the moment so absurdly fitting for his character that they kept some of the reactions in the final film. Bringing the cursed conquistadors to life was another massive undertaking that combined practical effects and CGI in an innovative way. Edgar Ramirez, who played Aguirre, spent hours in makeup to create the eerie, vine-covered look of his character. While much of the transformation was achieved through digital effects, the actors portraying the cursed crew had to wear extensive prosthetics that made their movements more challenging. The heat and humidity of the filming location only added to the difficulty, with actors frequently needing breaks to cool down before stepping back into their eerie, undead roles. One of the strangest and funniest moments came when a group of extras, dressed as the cursed conquistadors, wandered too far from the set during a break, only to accidentally startle a group of tourists who thought they had stumbled upon a real-life haunted jungle. Beyond the action and adventure, one of the most touching aspects of the production was the attention paid to paying homage to the original Jungle Cruise attraction. The film includes numerous Easter eggs and references that fans of the ride immediately recognized. The most obvious nod is the inclusion of Frank's pun-filled jungle tour, complete with intentionally groan-worthy jokes, something that real Jungle Cruise skippers at Disney parks have been doing for decades. In fact, Johnson spent time with actual skippers before filming, learning the rhythm of their jokes and incorporating some of their best lines into his performance. Another hidden detail can be found in the name of the film's villainous explorer, Aguirre, which is likely a reference to the real-life Spanish conquistador Lope de Aguirre, known for his disastrous and brutal quest for El Dorado. Filming in jungle-like environments created a slew of unexpected challenges. Though much of the movie was shot in Hawaii, which provided the perfect stand-in for the Amazon, the team still had to contend with unpredictable weather, invasive wildlife, and logistical difficulties. At one point, a tropical storm rolled in unexpectedly, halting production and forcing the crew to take shelter in a makeshift jungle camp. When filming resumed, they discovered that parts of the set had been subtly altered by nature. Vines had grown in new places, and certain pathways had become impassable due to the sudden storm. Rather than seeing this as a setback, the filmmakers embraced it, adjusting shots to include the newly transformed environment and making the jungle feel even more alive. Another unexpected challenge came in the form of the film's animal co-stars. While many of the animals in Jungle Cruise were created with CGI, some scenes involved real creatures. A particularly memorable day on set involved a trained parrot that had been brought in for background shots. However, this parrot had a mischievous streak, frequently interrupting takes by loudly imitating Johnson's voice. No one was sure where the bird had learned to mimic him so well, but it resulted in numerous retakes and plenty of laughter from the cast and crew. Post-production was just as much of an adventure as filming itself. The visual effects team worked tirelessly to bring the supernatural elements of the story to life, ensuring that the cursed conquistadors, the jungle's shifting dangers, and the mythical tears of the moon all felt believable. The film's final color grading was adjusted to give it a golden, nostalgic hue, reminiscent of classic adventure films from Hollywood's golden age. Even the release of Jungle Cruise had its own twist of fate. Originally set for a 2020 release, the film was delayed due to the global pandemic, eventually premiering in 2021. While the delay was a challenge, it ultimately allowed more time for post-production polish and even additional marketing, ensuring that the film reached as wide an audience as possible. When it finally hit theaters and Disney+, audiences embraced its blend of action, humor, and heart, making it a memorable addition to Disney's adventure legacy. From unexpected animal antics to elaborate practical effects and moments of sheer improvisational brilliance, the making of Jungle Cruise was an adventure in itself. Every twist and turn in the production process contributed to a final film that captured the essence of classic adventure storytelling while injecting it with modern energy and heart. Whether through the dedication of its cast, the challenges of filming in the wild, or the careful nods to Disney history, Jungle Cruise became more than just a movie. It became an expedition into the unpredictable, the humorous, and the extraordinary. The world of Jungle Cruise, 2021, is as much a character as Frank Wolf or Dr. Lily Houghton, with the setting shaping the story in ways both grand and subtle. From the dense, unpredictable Amazon jungle to the twisting waterways where danger lurks beneath the surface, every location in the film is meticulously designed to transport the audience into a realm of mystery and adventure. Through an expert blend of practical set pieces, stunning real-world locations, and seamless digital effects, the film creates a setting that feels immersive and alive, one where every shadow conceals a secret and every turn in the river leads to new wonders. While the story unfolds along the mighty Amazon River, much of Jungle Cruise was filmed in Hawaii, which served as a perfect stand-in for the lush, untamed wilderness of South America. The production team scouted remote locations that could provide the dense greenery, winding riverbanks, and towering cliffs necessary to bring the Amazon to life. The result was a setting that feels almost mythic, with sunlight filtering through the thick canopy, vines draping ancient ruins, and water stretching into unknown horizons. The choice of filming locations was critical in grounding the film's world in realism. Though visual effects played a significant role in expanding the environment beyond what was physically available, the foundation was always real, something the actors could interact with, something the camera could capture with natural depth and movement. One of the film's most striking locations is Porto Velho, the bustling riverside town where the adventure begins. This port is presented as a vibrant, chaotic hub of travelers, merchants, and explorers, its wooden docks stacked with crates and its streets teeming with movement. The setting is alive with detail, from the peeling paint on buildings that have weathered decades of humid jungle air to the uneven cobblestone streets where traders barter over exotic goods. This opening location does more than establish the historical backdrop of 1916. It introduces a world on the edge of discovery, where modern civilization and untamed wilderness collide. Porto Velho is where science and superstition meet, where rational minds like Lily's search for facts while figures like Frank weave myths and tall tales. The cinematography in these early scenes is bustling and energetic, with the camera weaving through crowds and capturing the dynamism of a place that serves as the last point of civilization before true adventure begins. As Frank and Lily push deeper into the jungle, the setting shifts into something far more primal and untouched. The film's cinematography changes with it, becoming more intimate, with close-up shots of creeping vines, rippling water, and the endless green that surrounds the characters. The jungle is not just a backdrop but an active force in the story, seemingly shifting and conspiring against them. The deeper they travel, the more the cinematography emphasizes isolation. Wide shots showing just how small the boat is against the vastness of the river, and overhead angles that make it feel as though they are being watched by unseen forces. These choices enhance the film's atmosphere, reinforcing the idea that they are venturing into a place where time moves differently, where myths feel as real as the land beneath their feet. One of the most visually spectacular locations in the film is the forbidden La Luna Rota, the hidden temple that holds the legendary Tears of the Moon. This setting is a masterpiece of production design, blending elements of real-world ancient architecture with a mystical, overgrown aesthetic that makes it feel both sacred and dangerous. The ruins are draped in history, with crumbling pillars overtaken by vines, glowing pools of water reflecting flickering torches, and walls etched with carvings that whisper of forgotten stories. This is where the film fully embraces its mythical elements, and the cinematography responds accordingly. Lighting becomes softer and more ethereal, casting shadows that dance along the temple walls. The visual palette shifts from the sunlit jungle greens to deep blues and purples, creating a dreamlike quality that signals to the audience that they have stepped beyond the boundaries of the ordinary world. The moment the final petals of the Tears of the Moon bloom, the cinematography captures it with reverence. Slow-motion shots emphasizing the glowing magic, close-ups revealing the awe in Lily's eyes, and sweeping camera movements that make the temple feel infinite. The visual storytelling of Jungle Cruise is heavily influenced by classic adventure films, borrowing from the grandeur of Indiana Jones while modernizing it with state-of-the-art effects and cinematography. The film frequently employs dynamic camera movements to keep the sense of motion alive, tracking shots following L'Aquila as it cuts through the river, aerial views showcasing the jungle's vastness, and rapid close-ups during intense action sequences to heighten suspense. There's a rhythm to the film's cinematography that mimics the journey itself, quick and sharp in moments of danger, slow and contemplative in moments of wonder. This balance ensures that the audience never feels detached from the journey, fully immersed in both its dangers and its beauty. Another critical element in creating the film's visual identity is its use of light and color. The jungle is bathed in rich, saturated greens, its waters reflecting dappled sunlight, creating a sense of overwhelming life. In contrast, the cursed conquistadors bring an entirely different visual energy to the film. Their presence darkens the frame, introducing eerie blues and grays, their supernatural forms twisting with elements of the jungle itself. Aguirre's snakes slither through the mist, merging with the vines as though nature itself has absorbed him. The visual effects used to create these cursed figures are intricate, ensuring that they do not feel like generic monsters but rather part of the environment itself, an extension of the jungle's ancient wrath. When Aguirre emerges from the shadows, the cinematography leans into horror, using dim lighting and sudden camera cuts to create an unsettling presence, contrasting the otherwise adventurous tone of the film. The film's water sequences are particularly impressive, capturing both the beauty and the terror of navigating a wild river. The cinematographers used real river currents combined with expertly crafted sets to give the sense that the boat is never truly at rest. The river is constantly moving, churning, and shifting, reinforcing the theme that nature cannot be controlled. In the film's most harrowing water-based sequence, where L'Aquila is caught in a violent whirlpool, the camera movements become chaotic, swirling along with the water, mirroring the disorientation of the characters. This moment is a perfect example of how the film uses cinematography not just to depict action, but to make the audience feel it. Beyond its use of natural settings and dynamic cinematography, Jungle Cruise also makes heavy use of practical effects to ground its world in realism. The production team built elaborate physical sets, from the bustling docks of Porto Velho to the intricate ruins of La Luna Rota, ensuring that the actors could interact with their surroundings in a tangible way. While CGI played a significant role, particularly in creating supernatural elements, the filmmakers prioritized practical effects wherever possible. This decision gives the film a tactile quality, making its world feel more believable. When Frank and Lily are climbing through ancient ruins or dodging collapsing bridges, they are interacting with real, built environments rather than acting against green screens. This commitment to practical filmmaking is a rare but welcome choice in modern adventure films, allowing Jungle Cruise to maintain a sense of physicality and weight. The sound design and score further enhance the film's setting, working in tandem with the visuals to create an immersive experience. The rustling of leaves, the distant calls of unseen creatures, the rhythmic lapping of water against the boat, all of these elements make the jungle feel alive. James Newton Howard's sweeping orchestral score adds grandeur to the adventure, punctuating moments of tension with pounding drums and moments of awe with soaring strings. His use of native South American instrumentation subtly reinforces the setting, ensuring that the film's music is as much a part of the environment as the visuals. In the end, Jungle Cruise is a masterclass in using setting and cinematic elements to enhance storytelling. The film's world feels rich, layered, and alive, drawing audiences into a jungle that is as dangerous as it is beautiful. Every choice, from the sweeping cinematography to the intricate set design, serves to immerse the audience fully, making them feel as though they are on the adventure alongside Frank and Lily. It is a testament to the power of visual storytelling, a reminder that setting is never just a backdrop, but an active force in the journey. The film invites us to lose ourselves in its world, to feel the heat of the jungle, the thrill of the chase, and the wonder of discovering something truly extraordinary. The making of Jungle Cruise, 2021, was an adventure in itself, filled with unexpected twists, challenges, and moments of sheer hilarity that made the film's behind-the-scenes journey just as exciting as the one portrayed on screen. From wild animal encounters to elaborate practical effects and playful on-set rivalries, the cast and crew navigated every obstacle with creativity and camaraderie. The process of bringing this epic adventure to life required an enormous amount of teamwork, ingenuity, and, at times, an almost supernatural ability to adapt to the unpredictable forces of nature. Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt, the film's charismatic leads, quickly developed a dynamic that kept the entire production energized. Their chemistry on screen translated seamlessly into real-life banter behind the scenes, where they constantly challenged each other with playful pranks. Johnson, known for his larger-than-life personality, took immense pleasure in teasing Blunt about her British formality, while Blunt, in turn, found ways to get back at him with her sharp wit. One ongoing joke revolved around Blunt's initial reluctance to take on the role. Before she signed on, Johnson had personally recorded a heartfelt video trying to convince her to join the film. Blunt had ignored the message for weeks, and when Johnson finally confronted her about it on set, she simply shrugged and said, "I was busy." The crew erupted in laughter, and the moment became a running gag throughout production, with Johnson constantly reminding Blunt of how hard he had to work to get her on board. Their camaraderie extended into their action sequences, where both actors insisted on doing as many of their own stunts as possible. While Johnson was accustomed to high-impact action from his days as a professional wrestler and his roles in Fast and Furious, Blunt was determined to prove that she could hold her own. One of the most physically demanding scenes required her to leap from a dock onto the moving steamboat, a maneuver that had to be perfectly timed. Despite multiple rehearsals, Blunt miscalculated on her first attempt and landed in the water instead of on the boat. As the crew scrambled to fish her out, Johnson was already on the dock, barely able to contain his laughter. To her credit, Blunt was unfazed and climbed right back up to try again. But after the fourth or fifth attempt, each ending in her missing the mark or slipping, she jokingly accused Johnson of secretly moving the boat further away each time. The crew played along, fueling the rumor that he was conspiring to keep her from making the jump. When she finally nailed the stunt, the entire set erupted into applause, and Johnson, ever the showman, took full credit for training her. Beyond the playful antics, there were genuine challenges that the cast and crew had to overcome, many of them brought on by the unpredictable nature of filming in jungle-like conditions. Though much of the movie was shot in Hawaii, which served as a perfect stand-in for the Amazon, the environment proved to be both stunning and relentless. The heat and humidity were constant factors, causing both technical malfunctions and minor medical emergencies. Several crew members suffered from dehydration, prompting the production team to enforce mandatory water breaks. Even Johnson, with his superhuman endurance, admitted that the heat was unlike anything he had experienced, and he often kept ice packs on standby between takes. Another unexpected challenge came in the form of the local wildlife. While many of the jungle's most dangerous creatures were recreated using CGI, that didn't mean the set was free from uninvited animal guests. During one key scene, in which Johnson and Blunt's characters share an intense conversation on L'Aquila, a particularly vocal parrot kept interrupting their lines. At first, the crew found it amusing, but as the bird continued to interject at the most dramatic moments, it became a full-fledged disruption. After multiple failed takes, the crew tried to gently relocate the bird, only for it to return minutes later, perching on Johnson's shoulder as if auditioning for a role in the film. Eventually, the parrot was bribed with fruit and escorted off set, though its stubborn persistence made it a minor legend among the crew. Perhaps the biggest technical challenge was creating the supernatural elements of the film, particularly the cursed conquistadors. While CGI played a major role in bringing these characters to life, the actors portraying them were often dressed in elaborate practical effects. Edgar Ramirez, who played Aguirre, spent hours in the makeup chair each day as artists applied intricate prosthetics that made him look like he was merging with the jungle itself. The process was so meticulous that by the time he was fully transformed, he could barely move without feeling like parts of his body were covered in vines. During one particularly intense scene, where Aguirre emerges from the shadows to confront Frank and Lily, Ramirez tried to deliver his line in a menacing whisper, only for one of his prosthetic snake-like appendages to detach and dangle comically from his costume. The illusion of terror was completely shattered as the entire cast and crew burst into laughter, forcing multiple retakes. Despite these occasional mishaps, the dedication of the special effects team was unparalleled. The creation of the mythical Tears of the Moon Tree, for example, required a blend of real set construction and digital artistry. The massive temple where the tree was housed was built on a soundstage, complete with ancient stone structures and glowing water features. However, the actual tree and its magical petals were a result of meticulous CGI work, requiring extensive post-production editing to achieve the luminous, otherworldly glow that defined its final appearance. To help the actors visualize the tree while filming, the effects team built a large practical stand-in covered in fiber optic lights, which flickered and pulsed to simulate the final glow. Johnson and Blunt later joked that acting in front of the Christmas tree version of The Tears of the Moon was one of the more surreal aspects of filming. The grand finale of the movie, in which Frank makes the ultimate sacrifice and turns to stone, was another sequence that required intense coordination between practical and digital effects. Johnson had to stand perfectly still while the visual effects team mapped his body for the transformation. To help him maintain absolute stillness, the crew playfully challenged him to hold a plank position for the entire duration of the scene, knowing full well that his competitive nature wouldn't allow him to back down. Though he managed to stay impressively motionless for most of the sequence, Blunt later admitted that she tried to make him break character by whispering absurd jungle puns just off-camera. Even with all the action, effects, and jungle madness, the heart of Jungle Cruise was its sense of adventure, and that extended to the crew's approach to filming. The director, Jaume Collet-Serra, was determined to pay homage to classic adventure films while keeping the energy fresh and modern. He often encouraged the actors to play with their lines, leading to moments of improvisation that made the final cut. One of the most memorable examples was Johnson's deadpan delivery of Frank's endless dad jokes, many of which he made up on the spot. At one point, Blunt challenged him to keep a straight face while rattling off as many terrible puns as possible. The result was an extended take in which Johnson delivered joke after joke, while Blunt desperately tried to remain composed. Though not all of them made it into the final film, the crew later voted on their favorites, with the winning joke being, "I'm reading a book on anti-gravity, it's impossible to put down." Despite the long hours, the physical demands, and the occasional wildlife interruptions, the overwhelming sentiment from the cast and crew was one of joy. Everyone involved knew they were part of something special, a film that captured the spirit of old-fashioned adventure while bringing new energy and humor to the genre. By the time filming wrapped, the bonds formed on set were undeniable. Johnson and Blunt had become true partners in adventure. Plemons had solidified his place as one of the most delightfully unhinged villains in recent Disney history, and the entire crew had survived months of jungle madness with enough stories to last a lifetime. Looking back, the making of Jungle Cruise was a journey as unpredictable as the river itself. But in every unexpected detour, in every challenge overcome, and in every moment of spontaneous laughter, the film's true spirit was forged. It was a film born not just from grand visual effects and sweeping landscapes, but from the energy, passion, and camaraderie of those who brought it to life. And just like the legendary jungle expeditions it portrays, its legacy will live on in the stories told by those who experienced the adventure firsthand. The heart of Jungle Cruise, 2021, beats with themes that transcend its adventure-packed surface, weaving a story that explores destiny, redemption, discovery, and the very nature of humanity's relationship with the unknown. While at first glance, the film presents itself as a light-hearted journey down the Amazon, filled with humor and thrilling chases, a deeper look reveals layers of meaning embedded in its storytelling. Through its characters, setting, and even its mythical elements, Jungle Cruise crafts a narrative rich in symbolism, using the language of adventure to reflect on timeless themes of exploration, sacrifice, and the pursuit of truth. At its core, Jungle Cruise is a story about discovery, not just of lost artifacts and ancient legends, but of oneself. Dr. Lily Houghton's quest for the Tears of the Moon is, on the surface, a search for a powerful relic, but symbolically, it represents something much greater. Lily is not merely seeking the mythical petals for the sake of scientific progress. She is battling against the constraints imposed on her by a world that refuses to recognize her capabilities. As a woman in 1916, she is forced to disguise herself, challenge institutions, and fight for her place in a male-dominated world. Her journey through the jungle mirrors this struggle. Each obstacle she faces, from navigating uncharted waters to confronting supernatural warriors, is a reflection of her determination to carve out a space where she belongs. The jungle itself becomes a symbol of resistance, testing her resilience at every turn, demanding that she prove herself worthy of the knowledge she seeks. Her eventual triumph is not just about finding the Tears of the Moon, but about proving to herself and to the world, that she is just as capable, intelligent, and daring as any explorer before her. Frank Wolfe, played by Dwayne Johnson, is a character defined by time. He is not merely a riverboat captain but a man frozen in history, trapped in an existence that is neither life nor death. His curse is not just a supernatural affliction but a metaphor for the burden of the past. Unlike Aguirre and his men, who were cursed by their own greed and cruelty, Frank's immortality is a prison of regret, forcing him to wander endlessly, unable to move forward or let go. The river, which serves as his home, becomes a symbol of his stagnant existence, always moving, yet never truly going anywhere. The deeper he travels with Lily, the more his character arc begins to shift. Through her, he finds something that has eluded him for centuries: purpose. The jungle, which once held him captive, now offers him a path to redemption. His decision to sacrifice himself at the film's climax, turning to stone to stop Aguirre, is the ultimate act of letting go, of finally embracing an end after centuries of aimless wandering. When Lily uses the last petal to bring him back, it is not just an act of love, but a symbolic rebirth. He is no longer the man he was before. He is free to live again, not as a cursed conquistador, but as someone who can finally chart his own future. Aguirre and his cursed men serve as a stark contrast to Frank. While Frank ultimately finds redemption, Aguirre remains trapped in his endless cycle of vengeance. His transformation, his body intertwined with snakes, his men consumed by elements of the jungle, symbolizes the dangers of unchecked ambition. Unlike Frank, who adapts and evolves, Aguirre is consumed by his past, literally becoming part of the jungle he once sought to conquer. His fate is poetic. The very land he tried to exploit is what ultimately claims him, turning him into something inhuman. This imagery reinforces one of the film's strongest messages, that nature cannot be controlled, and those who seek to dominate it without respect will inevitably fall. The Tears of the Moon Tree is one of the most powerful symbols in the film. It represents life, healing, and the delicate balance between nature and humanity's desires. Legends of such magical trees have existed in various mythologies, often tied to themes of eternal youth or divine wisdom. In Jungle Cruise, the tree is not just a treasure to be found, it is a test of worthiness. It is hidden away, protected by the land itself, only revealing its power to those who approach it with pure intentions. This aligns with the theme of respect for nature. Lily, who seeks the tree's petals to heal the sick, is deemed worthy, while those who seek it for power, like Prince Joachim, meet destruction. The idea that nature offers its gifts only to those who seek to preserve rather than exploit it is a message deeply woven into the film's storytelling. Beyond its grand themes of adventure and discovery, Jungle Cruise also explores the nature of storytelling itself. Frank, a man who has lived for centuries, is a storyteller by trade. His job as a skipper requires him to spin elaborate tales for his passengers, turning an ordinary boat ride into something extraordinary. His exaggerated stories, filled with humor and misdirection, initially paint him as a trickster figure, someone who thrives on illusion rather than truth. But as the film progresses, we learn that his life is, in itself, a story waiting to be told, one of loss, endurance, and ultimately, redemption. The film plays with the idea that history is shaped by those who tell it, and Frank's evolution from an unreliable narrator to someone willing to confront his past speaks to the power of truth in shaping one's identity. One of the film's most understated but powerful themes is the idea of breaking free from societal expectations. McGregor Houghton, Lily's brother, initially appears to be the reluctant adventurer, someone who would rather be sipping tea than trekking through the jungle. But as the film unfolds, his character is revealed to carry a deeper, more personal struggle. In a quiet but significant scene, he openly acknowledges that he has faced rejection from society for who he is, and that his loyalty to Lily stems from the fact that she was one of the few people who truly accepted him. This moment, though brief, adds another layer to the film's themes of defying norms and finding one's own path. His journey is not about physical exploration but about stepping into his own identity, unshackled from the expectations placed upon him. The river itself serves as a powerful metaphor throughout the film. Rivers have long been symbolic of life's journey, ever-moving, unpredictable, and filled with hidden dangers. The Amazon, in particular, is known for its vastness and mystery, making it the perfect setting for a story about venturing into the unknown. Just as the river winds through uncharted lands, so too do the characters navigate their own personal transformations. It is no coincidence that the film begins in a structured, bustling port town and ends in the untamed wilderness of La Luna Rota, the physical journey mirroring the internal journeys of the characters. Even the film's humor, often light-hearted and whimsical, carries a deeper significance. Frank's terrible puns, reminiscent of those told by real-life Jungle Cruise skippers at Disney theme parks, serve as more than just comedic relief. They represent his way of masking pain, of keeping others entertained while concealing his own history. The fact that his storytelling eventually leads to something real, his connection with Lily and his decision to embrace life again, reinforces the idea that laughter, even when used as a shield, can still be a bridge to deeper truths. In the end, Jungle Cruise is more than just a film about an expedition. They represent his way of masking pain, of keeping others entertained while concealing his own history. The fact that his storytelling eventually leads to something real, his connection with Lily and his decision to embrace life again, reinforces the idea that laughter, even when used as a shield, can still be a bridge to deeper truths. In the end, Jungle Cruise is more than just a film about an expedition. It is a tale of self-discovery, of embracing history while forging one's own destiny. It reminds us that true adventure lies not in conquering the unknown, but in understanding it, respecting it, and allowing ourselves to be changed by it. The film's themes of redemption, the power of storytelling, and the balance between progress and preservation all intertwine to create a narrative that, like the jungle itself, is rich, layered, and teeming with life. The journey may begin with the pursuit of legend, but it ends with something even more profound, the realization that the greatest discoveries are the ones that change us from within. The journey of Jungle Cruise, 2021, was not just one of adventure and discovery within the story itself, but also a cinematic feat that required a masterful blend of filmmaking techniques to bring its world to life. A film of this scale, filled with sprawling landscapes, supernatural elements, and high-energy action sequences, could only be realized through a meticulous combination of practical effects, CGI, innovative cinematography, and precise sound design. From the rolling waters of the Amazon to the intimate character moments between Frank and Lily, every frame of the movie was crafted with a specific purpose: to transport the audience into an old-fashioned adventure while using modern filmmaking tools to enhance its magic. Beyond its visual storytelling, the film's journey extended into its production and box office performance, where its theatrical release and Disney Plus hybrid model would ultimately shape its reception in a changing cinematic landscape. At the heart of the film's cinematic experience is its commitment to capturing the grandeur of classic adventure films while infusing it with the visual energy of contemporary blockbusters. Director Jaume Collet-Serra, known for his ability to balance spectacle with emotional depth, approached Jungle Cruise as a love letter to the great adventure films of the past, particularly Indiana Jones, The Mummy, and even Pirates of the Caribbean. To achieve this, the cinematography was designed to evoke a sense of movement and momentum, mirroring the ever-flowing nature of the river itself. The film is filled with sweeping aerial shots that establish the vastness of the Amazon, following L'Aquila as it carves its path through the water. These wide, cinematic shots help to reinforce the idea that the characters are venturing into an unexplored world, one where anything can happen. The use of camera techniques to enhance immersion was a critical element in making the action feel immediate and visceral. One of the most effective methods used throughout the film was dynamic tracking shots, where the camera moves fluidly alongside the characters, making the audience feel as though they are part of the expedition. In the high-speed chase through Porto Velho, for example, the camera zigzags through the bustling market streets, keeping pace with Lily as she leaps across rooftops and dodges obstacles. This technique creates a sense of urgency, pulling viewers directly into the chaos rather than keeping them at a detached distance. Likewise, during the intense whirlpool sequence where L'Aquila is nearly pulled into a watery abyss, the camera adopts erratic, spinning movements to simulate the disorientation the characters experience, making the audience feel as though they too are being swallowed by the river. Beyond camera work, editing played a crucial role in shaping the film's rhythm. Action sequences were meticulously cut to maintain a balance between excitement and clarity, ensuring that even the most chaotic moments remained easy to follow. The editing team worked closely with stunt coordinators and visual effects artists to seamlessly blend practical stunts with CGI enhancements. One particularly challenging sequence was the fight between Frank and Aguirre, where supernatural elements had to be woven into real, physical movements. To achieve this, the filmmakers combined multiple layers of effects: actors performing choreographed stunts on set, digital enhancements to create the snake-like transformations of Aguirre, and rapid editing to maintain the kinetic energy of the fight. The end result is a sequence that feels fluid and intense, capturing both the physicality of the combat and the mystical elements that make the cursed conquistadors such formidable foes. Sound design was another key component in creating the immersive world of Jungle Cruise. The jungle itself needed to feel alive, a character in its own right, filled with unseen creatures and ambient sounds that constantly reminded the audience of its presence. The sound team meticulously layered recordings of real jungle environments, adding the distant calls of exotic birds, the rustling of unseen predators, and the persistent hum of insects to create an auditory landscape that felt as rich as the visuals. Water, too, played a crucial role in the sound design, with the Amazon River constantly shifting in tone, sometimes calm and lapping gently against the boat, sometimes roaring with danger as rapids threatened to overturn everything in their path. The dynamic use of sound made the setting feel ever-changing, never allowing the audience to grow too comfortable in one place. The film's score, composed by the legendary James Newton Howard, further elevated the experience by blending sweeping orchestral themes with more playful, adventure-driven motifs. Howard's score is grand and exhilarating, evoking the spirit of classic adventure films while introducing themes that reflect the film's emotional beats. Frank's theme, for instance, carries an undercurrent of mystery and nostalgia, mirroring his long and tragic history. Lily's theme, by contrast, is more energetic and determined, reflecting her relentless pursuit of knowledge. One of the boldest musical choices in the film was the incorporation of a symphonic rendition of Metallica's Nothing Else Matters, an unexpected but fitting addition that underscores the film's mythic elements. The slowed-down, haunting version of the song plays during one of the most pivotal moments in the film, reinforcing the idea that history and legend are intertwined in ways that defy expectation. While Jungle Cruise embraced old-school adventure storytelling, its production was deeply rooted in the most advanced filmmaking technology available. The use of CGI was extensive but carefully balanced with practical effects to maintain a sense of realism. One of the most impressive digital achievements was the creation of Proxima, Frank's loyal jaguar companion. Rather than using a real animal, the filmmakers opted for a fully CGI jaguar to ensure both safety and performance control. Bringing Proxima to life required motion capture performances combined with extensive animation work, ensuring that the character felt expressive and believable. Despite being entirely digital, Proxima was animated with subtle movements that mimicked real feline behavior, from the way she twitched her ears to the playful manner in which she interacted with Frank. As a film inspired by a beloved Disney theme park ride, it carried the weight of expectations from both fans of the attraction and general moviegoers looking for a thrilling summer blockbuster. When the film finally hit theaters and Disney Plus in July 2021, it was met with a wave of reactions that ranged from nostalgic appreciation to enthusiastic praise for its throwback adventure feel. Audiences quickly latched onto the film's Indiana Jones-esque charm, appreciating its mix of action, humor, and old-school treasure-hunting storytelling. Many viewers compared it favorably to The Mummy, 1999, noting that it had a similar balance of comedy and adventure, with a charismatic lead duo carrying the film's energy. Fans of the Jungle Cruise ride also delighted in the nods to the original attraction, particularly in Frank's groan-worthy puns, which were lifted directly from the script used by Disney's real-life Jungle Cruise skippers. One of the most widely discussed aspects of the film among audiences was its blend of practical effects and CGI. Many praised the filmmakers for building large-scale sets and incorporating real locations rather than relying solely on green screens, which gave the film an authentic, immersive feel. While some critics noted that the CGI-heavy sequences, particularly the supernatural elements, occasionally felt overwhelming, most audiences accepted them as part of the film's larger-than-life adventure tone. The emotional core of the film, particularly Frank's reveal as an immortal cursed by the jungle, resonated deeply with viewers. Many audience members took to social media to discuss how the revelation added unexpected depth to Johnson's character, turning him from a wisecracking boat captain into someone burdened by centuries of loneliness. Likewise, Lily's journey as a woman defying societal norms struck a chord with many, making her one of the most celebrated female leads in recent adventure films. Her dynamic with Frank, filled with banter and reluctant admiration, became one of the film's biggest highlights, with audiences rooting for their partnership even before romance was fully introduced. Critics, while generally favorable in their reviews, were more divided on certain aspects of the film. Some praised Jungle Cruise for capturing the spirit of classic adventure films, calling it a fun, family-friendly ride filled with humor and excitement. Others, however, felt that it relied too heavily on familiar tropes and that its plot was somewhat predictable. The film's length was another point of discussion, with some reviewers feeling that certain sections could have been tightened for a more streamlined experience. However, even among critics who had reservations, there was near-universal agreement that Johnson and Blunt's chemistry was the film's greatest asset, elevating it beyond a standard blockbuster. The box office performance of Jungle Cruise reflected both the film's appeal and the unusual circumstances of its release. Coming out during the pandemic, it faced challenges that previous summer blockbusters hadn't encountered, including limited theater attendance and competition from streaming services. Released simultaneously in theaters and on Disney Plus via Premier Access, the film still managed to cross the $220 million mark globally, a respectable performance given the industry's shifting landscape. While some analysts debated whether the hybrid release model had hurt its overall earnings, Disney executives considered it a success, particularly given its strong performance in digital sales. As time passed, Jungle Cruise developed a dedicated fanbase, with many hoping for a sequel that would allow Frank and Lily's adventures to continue. Johnson and Blunt both expressed enthusiasm for revisiting their characters, teasing in interviews that they had plenty of ideas for where the story could go next. Given the film's mix of mythology, history, and adventure, the possibilities for future installments remained endless. In the end, Jungle Cruise was more than just another Disney blockbuster. It was a film that thrived on the chemistry of its cast, the excitement of its adventure, and the nostalgia it evoked in audiences who longed for the kind of old-school escapism that Hollywood doesn't always deliver. It was a reminder that sometimes the greatest journeys aren't just about the destination, but the people you take along for the ride. The journey through Jungle Cruise, 2021, has been as thrilling and layered as the film itself, a cinematic adventure that seamlessly blended action, humor, mythology, and heart. From its conception as an adaptation of the beloved Disney theme park ride to its ambitious production, unforgettable performances, and rich thematic depth, the movie carved out its place as a modern adventure classic. Looking back on everything we've explored, the behind-the-scenes stories, the visual and technical artistry, the performances that brought the characters to life, and the audience's reception, it becomes clear that Jungle Cruise is far more than just a fun summer blockbuster. It is a testament to the enduring power of adventure storytelling, a film that celebrates both the nostalgia of classic exploration films and the innovation of modern cinema. At the heart of Jungle Cruise is the chemistry between Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt, whose dynamic breathed life into Frank Wolff and Dr. Lily Houghton. Their playful energy, both on-screen and off, was the cornerstone of the film's charm. Johnson's rugged charisma and comedic timing blended effortlessly with Blunt's sharp wit and unshakable determination, creating a duo that audiences couldn't help but root for. Their banter, stunts, and eventual emotional connection gave the film a pulse that elevated it beyond a mere adventure spectacle. But they weren't alone in making Jungle Cruise a memorable experience. Jesse Plemons' hilariously over-the-top portrayal of Prince Joachim, Edgar Ramirez's tormented Aguirre, and Jack Whitehall's endearing take on McGregor Houghton all added layers of humor, menace, and heartfelt character growth, making the ensemble cast a key element in the film's success. The production of Jungle Cruise was a feat in itself, a perfect marriage of practical filmmaking and digital wizardry. From the meticulously designed set pieces, including the fully functional L'Aquila, to the breathtaking recreation of the Amazon, the film's world felt vibrant and immersive. The use of CGI, particularly in crafting the cursed conquistadors and the mystical tears of the moon tree, added an extra layer of wonder and fantasy without overshadowing the film's tangible, real-world elements. Cinematography, sound design, and a sweeping orchestral score further enhanced the experience, ensuring that every scene carried weight, whether it was a high-speed boat chase, a comedic jungle encounter, or a heartfelt character moment. Thematically, Jungle Cruise explored timeless ideas of discovery, redemption, and the power of storytelling. Lily's quest for the Tears of the Moon was not just about finding a legendary relic but about proving her worth in a world that often underestimated her. Frank's journey was one of redemption, a man burdened by the weight of time finally finding purpose and freedom. Even the film's antagonists, from the tragically cursed Aguirre to the gleefully villainous Prince Joachim, served as reflections of different motivations, some seeking power, others trapped by their pasts. Through these narratives, the film delivered a compelling message about embracing the unknown, respecting history, and forging one's own path. Despite facing challenges with its pandemic-era release, Jungle Cruise managed to carve out a strong presence both at the box office and on Disney+, proving that audiences still had a hunger for grand, adventurous tales. The film's legacy extends beyond its earnings, as it has found a loyal fanbase eager to see where its characters might journey next. Rumors of a sequel continue to circulate, and given the film's rich mythological backdrop, there is no shortage of directions the story could take. Ultimately, Jungle Cruise serves as a reminder of why adventure films continue to captivate audiences across generations. It is a celebration of exploration, humor, and heart, a film that invites viewers to embark on a journey where the destination is unknown but the ride is worth every twist and turn. Whether you watched it for the exhilarating action, the charismatic performances, or simply the nostalgia of classic adventure cinema, there's no denying that Jungle Cruise delivered a cinematic experience that will endure for years to come. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the making, themes, and impact of Jungle Cruise, there's plenty more where that came from. Be sure to subscribe for more in-depth movie analysis, behind-the-scenes breakdowns, and explorations of the magic that goes into crafting the films we love. From adventure epics to sci-fi spectacles, from hidden Easter eggs to the intricate artistry of filmmaking, we're here to celebrate the stories that transport us to new worlds. So, if you're ready for the next great journey, stick around, because the best adventures are always just beginning.